So we're going to look at the Mishnah here on Mem Daled Amud Beis. Egla Rufa B'Lashon HaKodesh. So when they find the slain body between two cities, and the Zkanim have to come down, and the pasuk says, "V'onu v'omru yadenu lo shafcha adam hazeh v'einenu lo ro," and the Kohanim have to respond, "Kaper li'amcha Yisrael asher padi." So all this has to be recited in Lashon Kodesh. Shenemar ki motzei cholol ba'adamim. So it's not exactly clear what the Gemara thinks is written in this pasuk. It just says ki motzei cholol ba'adamim. They found the slain body in the ground. No indication that it has to be B'Lashon Kodesh. So the Gemara is going to pick that up. Then it says, V'yatzu zkeinecha v'shovtecha. And the question is, how many people have to go down for the Kiyum HaMitzvah of Egla Rufa? And the Mishnah establishes, Shlosha mi Bezdin HaGadol Shebiyushalayim. We need 3 members of the highest court of Israel, the High Court of Israel. Correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Sorry, I need a pencil here. Oh, finally found a pencil. Now, Sanhedrin HaGedolah is made up of 71 elders, and 3 members of the Sanhedrin are Yotzim. They would come to the place where they found the body, and then they do what's called a Medida, and they measure which is the closest city. Rabbi Yehuda Omer Chamisha. Rabbi Yehuda says that we need 5 Zikanim from the Sanhedrin HaGedolah to be representative of the Sanhedrin HaGedolah for the Egla Rufa. Shenemar Zikeinecha and Shoftecha. So Zikeinecha is Rabim, and that requires 2. And Shoftecha requires 2. It's also in Lashon Rabim. And we have a principle of Ein Bezdin Shaku. We don't have an even number of Dayanim on a Bezdin. Now, it's very interesting that Medida, according to this Mishnah, just measuring from one city to the other requires a decision of the court. It's not just what you and I would call a technicality. You know, like in many courts, they have expert witnesses, you know. This is not a matter of expert witness. We need a psak of a bezdin, and therefore, mosifin alem odechad. We need to tip the scale so that there'll be a majority of the odd number. So 2 and 2 is not enough. You need a 5th. Nimtza tamun begal. If, let's say, the dead body is covered over by stones, it was like an avalanche. Oh, totally be'ilan, or the nebuch, the body is hanging from a tree, or tzafal pnei hamayim, or it's floating on the water. Lo hayu orfim. In all these cases, there would be no medida, they would not measure, and there's no din of egla rufa. Why? Shenemar, because the pasuk says ba'adama. Let's read the whole pasuk. And what does the word ba'adama mean? Ba'adama means that the dead body is horizontal on top of the earth, below tomun bagal. But if it's buried under an avalanche, then it's not considered ba'adama, but rather it's betoch adama, it's inside the ground. Nofel, and the pasuk says, let's go back and read the pasuk again. It says, Ki motzei cholol ba'adama, nofel basadeh, nofel v'lo toli be'ilam. Now, if he's hanging from a tree, that's not called nefila. Nefila means down on the ground. And then it says nofel basadeh, basadeh v'lo tzafal pnei hamayim. Now, none of these exclusions seem to be based on any intuitive logic. They're all based on drashos in the pasuk, what we call gzeras hakosu. Nimtza samach l'sfar, if the body is found close to the boundary with the goyim, which means that there's no city in Israel that separates the body, the slain body, from the boundary, or le'ir sheruba ove kochavim, or let's say the closest city is a non-Jewish city, or ir she'ein bo bezdin, or it's a city that doesn't have a bezdin. And the Gemara is going to explain that since the pasuk says sheyatzu bezdin ziknei ha'ir l'makom ha'chalal, it means that there is a bezdin in the closest city. And therefore, in all those cases, 1, 2, and 3, lo ayu orphan, there's no din of egla rufa, not in samach l'sfar, not in ir shemruba akum, and not in ir shem ba bezdin. Ein modedin elo le'ir sheyesh ba bezdin. And the Gemara is going to try to ask what the Tana adds over. He already told us that if there's no bezdin, there's no medida, there's no egla rufa. So the Gemara immediately asks, Mai ka'amar. Where does the pasuk indicate that you need lashon kodesh? Amar b'avo hachi kamar. This is what the Tana had in mind. Shenemar, it says in the parasha of Egla Rufa, v'anu v'amru, that they will respond. Ulahalanu omer, in the parasha brachos uklolos bar grizim bar evel, v'anu alavim v'amru. Ma ani amur alalon in brachos and klolos b'lashon hakodesh af kan, in the parasha of Egla Rufa, b'lashon hakodesh. So the Tana sort of abridged it, and he didn't explicate this gzeres shava because it was already explained earlier. So he didn't feel that he'd have to repeat it again. And in the Mishnah early on Daf Lamed Beis, there's gzeres shava aniya between mikra bikurim and v'anu halavim. And here also in the parasha of Egla Rufa, it says v'anu v'amru. And therefore, through this gzeres shava, we learn that there's a requirement of lashon kodesh. B'seder Egla Rufa ketzad. So what is the seder of asiyas mitzvahs Egla Rufa? Ki motzei chalol b'adama v'yatzuz keinecha v'shovtecha shlosha mibezn hagadol shebishlayim hayuyotze. Rabbi Yehuda omer chamisha. Tan Rabbana, we learned in a brisa regarding the parasha of Egla Rufa, v'yatzuz keinecha v'shovtecha. Keinecha shnayim. Shovtecha shnayim vein bezin shakul is a fichach. Therefore, mosifin aleim od echad. Harekan chamisha divrei Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Shimon Omer is keinecha shnayim. He does not derive another 2 from the word shovtecha. The ein bezin shakul, since he's left with 2, which is an even number. Therefore, mosifin aleim od echad harekan shlosha. So now, let's just go back to the Mishnah for a minute. The Mishnah had said that there were 3 zikanim that came from the Sanhedrin for the protocol of Egla Rufa. And that Stam Mishnah represents the Shita Rabbi Shimon. But what about the word Shovtecha? Rabbi Shimon, Nami Aksiv Shovtecha, that should add another 2 dayonim. Ahumi boile lemiuchadim shebeshovtecha. To teach me that we don't just take any judges from any bezdin, but rather we need the judges from the Sanhedrin Agdola that sat in the Lishkas Hagazis in the Beis Hamikdash. They are called the Yuchadim Shebeshovtecha. For Rabbi Yehuda, he used the word Shovtecha to add, jack the number up for another 2 dayonim. How does he derive the halacha that it's got to be Miyuchadim Shebeshovtecha? And the answer is Ziknei Zikeinecha Nafka. There's a redundant lashon pasuk here. The Torah could have said ziknei, and it says zikeinecha, as if to say a special group, high caliber group of zkenim. And who are those? Those are the Miuchadim Shebes Keinecha. Rabbi Shimon, why does he need the word Shovtecha to teach me Miuchadim? Why couldn't he derive it from Zikeinecha? It could have said Zikeine. And Rabbi Shimon answers, because of Achmanas Zikne, the Torah had to avoid the word Zikne, because Hava Mina would have thought, if it would have said Zikne, Afilu Zikne Ashuk, that for Egla Rufa, it's kosher, even Zkenim that are not part of the Sanhedrin. Is therefore kosher Achmanas Zkeinecha, and Zkeinecha teaches me that they have to be Dayanim from the Sanhedrin. But v'ikasa rachmana skeinecha, if we only had skeinecha, v'mina afilu sanhedrin ktana. Even a sanhedrin of 23 judges also has the status of a sanhedrin. It's therefore kasa rachmana v'shovtecha l'miyuchadim v'shovtecha. It's not enough that you have dayanim who came from what? From the sanhedrin ktana. You need dafka dayanim from sanhedrin agdol. Rabbi Yehuda, doesn't he need an extra word skeinecha to exclude skenim that are not part of the Sanhedrin? And instead he jacks up the number for an extra 2 dayanim. So my answer is Gomar zikne zikne mi zikne ha'eda. We have a gzeres shava to the parsha of Par Helim Davar, where it says there's zikne ha'eda.
Right.
What do you say?
Hold on. Can you hold for just 1 second?
Yeah, sure. So Mala Halon Yuchanim Shebe'eda, which means that in the parsha of Bar Helim Dovashal Sibur, which is in Vayikra Dalet, the Im Kol Adas Yisrael Yishku V'Nelam Davar. So there was a mistake in the Horah on a Chiv Kares Me'eni Hakol V'Asu, and the Tzibur basically followed the mistaken judgment. And it says Achas Mikol Mitzvah Hashem Shalot Yasenu V'Hashem V'Noda'a Chatos Asher Chatu Aleh V'Kriv HaKahol Har Ben Bakar L'Chatos Ve'Vio Sol L'Fnei Ol Moed. And then it says V'Samchu Ziknei Ha'eda Es Yideim Al Rosh HaPar. And the Gemara in Sanhedrin Yud Gimel darshins that the requirement of smichas zekenim al rosh par helim dovashal tzibur is not any zekenim from the shuk, but rather tamulomar eda, and eda refers to Sanhedrin. Again, it could be Sanhedrin ktana, but when it says ha eda with a hey, and that's what it says v'samchu ziknei ha eda, it means from the Sanhedrin agdola. And here too, where it says Keinecha in Egla Rufa, we assume it means the same Ziknei Ha'eda that appear in Pari Helim Dovashal Tzibur, which means Miuchadim Shemeda, they come from Sanhedrin Agdola. So therefore, the word V'Shovtecha now becomes redundant, and Rabbi Yehuda derives from that we jack up the number from 3 to 5 dayanim. And the Gemara asks, Igomar, if in fact Rabbi Yehuda has this Gzeres Shava from Par Helim Dovashal Tzibur to Egla Rufa, Ligmara Lakula Milsa Me'asam, why doesn't he derive all the dinim from there? Not just that you need Sanhedrin, but we should derive that you need 5 dayanim, because in the case of what's it called? Par Helim Dovashal Tzibur, we need 5. So therefore, it's Keinecha V'Shovtecha Lomali. So once Rabbi Yehuda has this Gzeres Shava, he doesn't need Keinecha V'Shovtecha to require 5 dayanim. He should know it from the Gzeres Shava. Ella, the Gemara says, Vav V'Shovtecha L'Minyana. Actually, he derives it from the extra Vav of the word V'Shovtecha. That's going to teach you the minyan the number of dayanim. And therefore, Rabbi Yehuda derives that we need 2 extra dayanim from the extra vav. So at this point, the Gemara drops the entire understanding of Gzeira Shavo. We're not going to learn from Parahelim Tovishal Tzibur and a Gzeira Shavo Tegla Rufa. And if we need V'Shovtecha to teach me how many dayanim we have and require, and that's called Liminyan. So Gemara asks Rabbi Shimon, okay, why doesn't Rabbi Shimon darshan the extra vav?